Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Tennis Weekly with Joel, Kim, and Chris. On today's Talk Catch Up,
Sinner completes career Golden Masters.
Svitolina sinks Gauff for third Rome title.
And Emma Raducanu finally rehires her US Open winning coach.
Kim, Chris, today is the 18th of May, and we are here to catch up on the week in tennis at Tennis Weekly HQ. On today's episode, it is 1 week to go to Paris and the French Open, and we have had our final Masters event on the clay in Rome. Jannik Sinner, surprise, surprise, is the men's champion. He has now won every Masters going, a career Golden Masters. We'll be getting into that in a bit. Elina Svitolina is also the women's champion. She captured the title in Rome for a third time. Emma Raducanu is also teaming up with her US Open winning coach, Andrew Richardson. We'll be getting into that in the second half. Plus, we will be unveiling inaugurally our clay power rankings as we head into Roland Garros. More on that in the second half. And we're going to look ahead to the final set of events as we hit Paris, Strasbourg, Hamburg, Geneva and Rabat. So lots and lots to get into. And guys, it might be a big milestone for Jannik Sinner this week, but it's also a big milestone for us because Tennis Weekly has hit, and I can't believe I'm saying this, has hit the 600 episode mark.
That's quite wild, I think. I think we were hitting 500 this time last year. So we've done 100 in a year. Where did that time go?
I mean, you blink and you miss it. But I mean, what are we calling that anniversary? 600 episodes? Would that be?
Flatty Centennial Jubes? No. It's like a centennial.
It's a centennial of sorts.
Yes. Well, I did the number crunching.
It's 60. Yeah, so it would be diamond, not platinum. Honestly, I
not
should get
Venus,
my
Rosewater,
diamond to the power of 10.
Sorry. Yeah.
I did the number crunching though, and I sort of kind of took, each episode is around about the 60-minute mark, and to make it kind of relative to tennis terms, I'm informed that you could watch John Isner, Nicholas Mahut at Wimbledon, and their record-setting longest match ever. You could watch that match 54 complete times to get up to our episode 600.
I probably would rather watch that 54 times.
Really? I think listening to our back catalogue would be far more interesting,
entertaining.
Yes,
true. More variety than just the serving element.
Times.
What about how many Iga Swiatek, Amanda Anisimova Wimbledon finals? Many more than 54.
600, I guess.
600 episodes, exactly.
Blimey. I mean, I've got the Roland Garros qualifying on at the moment, and we've got a Jack Pennington-Jones on court, which I'm very excited
you're
about.
You're partial to a bit of Pennington-Jones, aren't you, Kim?
Yeah, so I'm very excited for, Roland Garros. And Chris, you're going to be there, aren't you, soon?
I was getting a bit emotional about David Goffin earlier, because he's in his
about
final
Jack Pennington-Jones.
French Open.
Yeah.
Given like the speech on court, and I thought, he's lost, and he's doing an emotional farewell to the ground. No, he won in straight sets, but he still got the on-court interview treatment.
Oh, they said goodbye to him before he's finished.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a bit interesting. I mean, I thought you'd be watching, Susan Lamons go through already, Joel. But clearly you're watching Goffin, a tear in your eye. But I was going to say, Kim, you're back. It's been a little bit of a while. You're back at full health. What have you been up to?
Well, I've been away a little bit, which is why I wasn't on some of the podcasts, and then I was ill, and it's been a bit. I just want routine now. I want to be podcasting, back in routine.
Tennis every day.
The everyday stuff you take for granted when things are a bit all over the shop. But I've missed being here with you guys. So, but thank you for keeping me.
Hang on, you told us you were kind of walking with the alpacas last week.
That was yesterday. I did a bit of alpaca
Yesterday
walking.
You were Where on earth were you?
This was in Sussex. It was lovely. A place called Spring Farm. I would thoroughly recommend it. I had a nice.
It's not sponsored.
But it's not sponsored. I had a nice brown alpaca called Damascus, which is very sweet. And sadly, though, there wasn't any called like Yannick or Carlos or Novak. Otherwise, I would have requested one of those. But maybe there should be. Maybe I should suggest for they had some that were due to give birth quite soon. So maybe I should have put in some name suggestions for their next.
Hodar would be quite nice.
Yeah, or Rafa, or
yes.
Lemons. You know,
Martin,
Martin. You know, I mean,
yes. I'd like Martin the alpaca, but Kim, honestly, you live quite a life away from the podcast, it would seem.
Oh, get up to all sorts. But
I thought you'd be at Eurovision instead, yeah.
Well, in Eurovision on Saturday night, I'm still recovering from that being quite a late night.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm still recovering from the announcement that Andy Murray is going to be Jack Draper's coach for the grass court season. I mean, me and Chris did an emergency special earlier in the week. So, listeners, if you want the full breakdown, if you want mine and Chris's view, make sure to listen to that from earlier in the week. But Kim, what did you make of that appointment?
Yeah, I feel there's a certain sense of inevitability that it would have happened at some point, that Murray would be kind of a guiding light through the grass court season. And it's a shame that Jack's had such injury woes, and the kind of partnership with Delgado hasn't really, wasn't really given the chance to have a moment. So I think working with Andy on a sort of fixed term basis works for both of them. But I fundamentally just hope that Jack will be back and sort of healthy enough for him to actually, learn as much as he can on the court with Andy. But, we'll have to just see how it goes. But I'm not expecting wonders, but I think it could be something they could repeat, next year. Different circumstances. But yeah, we'll see. It's nice though. I think it's a good move.
I'm just wondering if it's going to create like this massive circus or potentially an unwanted distraction for Draper, who's going to obviously be coming back, want to be sticking to the tennis, and whether there is a potential, it could be a bit of a sideshow, situation, given the the profile of the the announcement, given the fact that it's happening in the UK as well. So that was something I was just sort of thinking about over the days following.
The pressure you think would get to you if you were in that position, Joel.
If it goes wrong though, just blame Andy.
Didn't work for Djokovic. Didn't
advice.
Work for me.
Mate, you can't just blame you just can't blame your mate. That's why I wonder, like with Draper, whether he'll feel like a bit of pressure that he's got someone. He's got someone in his box. And,
I think if it doesn't go well, I think he will be bringing up the fact he feels he's let Andy down, which you never want to be in that position, do you? But I mean,
I thought Andy Murray was going to be announced as part of the next Celebrity Traitors lineup, but he's not. He's not.
He can't take the gig anymore, can he? Jack Draper got there first.
That's true.
Can it not be a hybrid working situation?
Maybe they asked him, but he was already signed up to, be away, because I think they're filming it kind of now or soon. But I think he'd be really good on the Traitors. I think his
we're going to keep campaigning for that, but please not before the summer. Yes.
No. But let's take our minds back to the last week on tour, because we obviously have had the Rome Masters, and a very familiar face has indeed won that, which we'll get onto very shortly. But what has caught your attention this week, maybe on or off the court, any sort of fun, irreverent moments? Joel, I'm going to come to you first.
Well, my moment is actually a bit of an awkward moment, and it involved Darderi in his semi-final against Rude. Big match for him, big tournament for him, to be honest. But he forgot, I think, the protocols of coming on to the court with the ball kid. And he just basically no-showed the ball kid whilst walking out to his to his area where his bench is, and it got quite a big reaction online because it just showed, I think, he was in a world of his own. He had these big sunglasses on, so it wasn't actually quite clear where his eyes were looking. But the optics on the TV weren't particularly great.
No, I did feel sorry for the poor ball kid in this situation, because they had their hand out.
Yeah, they just sort of followed
with the hand still out. And it definitely is a case where it feels like maybe the attention of the home crowd went to Darderi's head, because it wasn't even sunny and he came out in these sunglasses that are quite ostentatious. And then proceeded to kind of get absolutely dismantled by Casper Ruud. So maybe justice was done on the court. Maybe Casper saw this, and it sort of, as a father, he really stepped up to, put Darderi in his place.
I don't think it helped his cause that, Casper Ruud, model sportsman, he did like the most... he did it like the best way possible. Like before Darderi came out and basically did it the complete opposite.
Blanked the child. Yeah.
How not to do it
and then how not to do it. Yeah.
And the shades. The shades also added, I think, to it in my head.
I was just gonna say I was not a fan of the sunglasses. Not
how
my
massive are these
day.
Sunglasses? Yeah.
Are they ski goggles or something like that?
I mean, he should have probably necked an espresso before coming on court, because he was doing that, I think, during his match with Zverev.
Well, maybe he was a little bit, he looks like
so...
maybe a bit worse for wear. Maybe that's it. And he was a bit light sensitive. Maybe he had a big night celebrating his quarterfinal win. I mean, these are just rumors, but who knows? Yeah.
He did apologize. He did apologize afterwards on Instagram. So fair play for owning up for the gaffe. And probably a mistake he's not going to make anytime soon.
No. Well, I'm going off court for my highlight of the week. That is the Vanity Fair photo shoot featuring Carlos Alcaraz. We know Alcaraz is injured. He's not got nothing better to do than pose for some interesting pictures, rolling around in the clay in his tennis whites.
Kim, I can't believe you brought this up. I had actually finally just got this out of my brain. It was sort of, to me, it's so cringe.
Yeah, I mean, the laundry involved. I mean, he's just got all the clay over all that outfit, and I just thought, blimey, is that ever going to come out? How much washing are you going to have to do? But yeah, I don't know what to make of it, really. It's got to do something, though, to pass the time, isn't he?
Some of the shots are quite getting attention, are quite bum heavy, I think would be the only way I could describe it. So I think he's making headlines off court. I think it's interesting...
expanding the profile
of certain body parts of his, I think, as well.
I mean, painfully...
It's like Rafa doing the... Sorry, Joy. It's like Rafa doing the... Was it back in the day, the Armani underwear?
Oh, Armani and Tommy Hilfiger, he did that as well. So
then he went on
maybe he's trying to get another underwear deal with Calvin Klein or something.
I just think he's painfully trying to be Jannik Sinner. I think Jannik Sinner does this stuff way more elegantly.
Oh, the fashion shoot side of things.
Carlos Alcaraz. And I think he's maybe seen that and think, hang on, I need to up my game in this space. But I think he is... I think Sinner defeats him on that head-to-head.
On high fashion modelling. Yeah, fair enough. I think probably the likes of Berrettini and who are the other ones that are featured in big
Fritz
campaigns?
Has some campaigns going,
yeah, they're probably more
Massetti,
experienced at it.
Definitely work for him to improve.
Yeah,
whilst, maybe best way to spend his time off the court.
Yeah, he did say that he was familiar with, rolling around in the clay after he won that Roland Garros title. So maybe he was trying to replicate that. But one thing I can say is that if anybody is rolling around in the clay in Paris, I will be. Oh my God,
Chris, are you going to replicate? Are you going to give us our own Tennis Weekly edition?
Yeah. I probably will get kicked out of Roland Garros for that, because I was going to say that
rolling around on the clay like a clay angel on the court.
Yeah, I mean, I probably wouldn't get let into the draw ceremony if I was covered in clay like this. I'd look at a right state, and as Kim says, I'm not sure I've got the laundry prowess to get the whites white again. But yes, I was going to say I am going to be in Paris. I'm not sure we've properly sort of announced this. We are also doing the daily episodes. We'll be giving you all of the scoop as well. We might even throw in a journal because Elena will be dipping in at times. But yes, so it'll be kicking off very soon. So everybody stay tuned. It'll be 17 episodes because it starts on Sunday. So don't miss out on that. And our next episode, I believe, will be on Thursday after the draw ceremony. So Kim, we're very pleased to have you back. So I'm not sure we can handle all of that by ourselves.
Yes, we've got our draw coming up on Thursday. I'm going to be avidly watching qualies this week in anticipation.
Just Jack.
We've got the wrap-up show as well.
Wrap-up show, yes. Yeah, all sorts. So yeah, very much looking forward to the next few weeks. I think, and a good excuse to go and get some French pastry for me and Joel, because obviously we're not going to be in Paris, so we need to have something Parisian to get us through,
I'll bring something Parisian back for you. I'm not sure a pastry would last until Wimbledon when we're next together, but Do have a look and see if there's anything that takes your fancy, and I can pop in and pick it up for you from one of the boutiques in Paris.
Well, merci beaucoup. And let's move on to looking at the Italian Open results. We'll start with the men, which obviously we know that Jannik Sinner won another Masters title. Well done to both of you, because you did predict that correctly. Didn't get too many other predictions right, though. I mean, Joel got the final right, which was great. And I think Joel did beat you, Chris, on predictions. You got 5 of the quarterfinalists right, and you only got 2. Sadly.
Wasn't my best. I mean, I did predict Vachereau to make the semis, and he didn't even take to the court. So,
yes. Unfortunate.
Well done, Joel, is all I can say.
Yes. And let's talk about Jannik Sinner, because he is just, I mean, stomping his way through the season. He's now won 6 consecutive Masters 1000 titles, which has never been done before. No one had won more than 4 in a row prior to this period from Sinner. He has now also completed all of the Masters 1000 titles. He's won them all. And he's still so young, he could do that 5 times over. It's quite frankly ridiculous, isn't it, that he's managed to tick them off so early in his career. I mean, it took Djokovic a lot longer to do so, and he's now done that twice. So Sinner's still got some work to do to complete the circuit again, but I mean, it looks like he will do it, as he's done the first circuit so easily. Where does he go? Is he going to run out of motivation soon? Is he gonna retire young, because he's just gonna be like, oh, I think I've won everything now, I'm done? I mean, what did you make of his week in Rome to cap off yet another Masters title, Joel?
I think he was, it was, I guess it was kind of business as usual. It's been business as usual through the clay season. Yeah. And I think it's funny to think, a few seasons ago, I think a few fans would have said clay is Jannik Sinner's, weakest surface, but he's really kind of paid to that this season. I think he was tested a little bit more here in Rome than he was in Madrid. And I think it's been interesting for Sinner in the sense that he's played a lot of clay tennis now. He's gone obviously very deep in all the tournaments he's faced. He's not necessarily been known as kind of the fittest and one of the strongest players on the tour. He's played a lot of tennis, and with that fact that Medvedev match went over 2 days, playing 3 days in a row with Casper Ruud. I think he showed great, kind of physicality and fitness that maybe there were question marks over.
He was cramping, wasn't he?
Yeah,
against Medvedev. So I'm not sure he showed that much physically that's impressed me.
He was tested, and he still came through.
Well, he had a rest, didn't he? I think that would be. You had a night off to recover, but I mean, more on the number side of things, I'm just can't get over the fact he's done this so young, because I was looking into it, and Djokovic, I think he was 31 when he first did this, or something like that much later. He has done it twice now, but even the fact he's only the second player after Rafael Nadal to sweep all 3 in the same season, I mean, that's also hugely impressive, and it just makes you think, we're going to see so many records broken by Alcaraz and Sinner, because we've just had Alcaraz become, the youngest to win all the slams. Sinner is probably the heaviest favorite we've ever had to win a slam coming into this Roland Garros, to actually do it and complete, the whole set of those tournaments. He's won the ATP finals, and it would just be, the gold medal he's looking for. But the bigger question I have, beyond just how incredible these achievements are, is when did we start calling it a golden Masters?
Yeah. Why is it golden? I thought golden was the Olympic, gold in the same season. But
yeah, Joel, any ideas on the spot?
What could we call it instead?
I don't.
Masters collection.
Maybe to add a little bit more kind of pizzazz to it, because it is an incredible achievement, and as you said, the rate that he has done it, all 9 in just 2.5 years.
Since 2023 Cincinnati, I read, and I thought that's mind-boggling.
And also, I think if you think about the 6 that he has won in a row, I mean, they're all kind of very different, surfaces and conditions. He's been on indoor, he's been in the desert, he's been at altitude in Madrid, a bit more of a slower surface in Rome. I think it's just incredible how it just shows his game is very adaptable, and whatever surface he is on, Yeah, he is the best in the world.
And he's not lost a set in any of the Masters finals that he has won. So very dominant as well. I mean, looking at Roland Garros, Medvedev obviously took a set off him in Rome, but is Sinner's biggest opposition like his own body, the cramp, rather than anyone actually taking to the court? And obviously in Grand Slam, you should, in theory, have that day off in between. Yes, you're playing 5 sets, but if he's winning quite comfortably, nice day off in between. What is going to stop him from picking up his
There's probably a small
final
caveat there, Kim, isn't there, of a Novak Djokovic who did stop him in Australia. I think. Yeah. I'm not saying that Djokovic has actually showed any sign of form.
He lost to Prismic in Rome.
He did. But having said that, you can never count out Novak Djokovic and what he's achieved and the fact he has beaten Sinner this year when he has been on this run. It's in that run of 6 consecutive that he has beaten Sinner. So I think that's important context here. And as you've said, I think it is the body. I think physically that is his biggest barrier because technically he is by far the best player in the world. He has everything that you would need to keep winning like this. And he's got a type of game style, which means he could keep doing this for a long time, where physically it doesn't rely on him, overloading on anything. It is very efficient tennis. So even with those potential issues with his body that sometimes exist, he is actually very efficient at still getting it done with the weapons that he possesses. So I think it's one where the pressure of everyone thinking you're going to win everything, it'll be interesting to see how that story develops for me, because I think he showed how mentally strong he is, coming back from a really tough defeat last year in the French Open at Wimbledon. Also, whatever side of the fence you're on, the way he's come back from the doping ban, the way that he sort of faced that, and then, still put together a fantastic season and almost got a pipped Alcaraz to number 1. I think that's hugely impressive and shows how strong he is mentally in many ways. So I guess there are these stories that can still exist, but I am just wishing there was someone who could test him. And we are missing Alcaraz. I think we've got to be quite transparent that the game does need a rival. And I would say in these sort of tournaments, I'm not saying there's an asterisk. I know we really annoy people when we do say that, but it's a bit strange, if the big rivals of, Djokovic and Federer and Nadal and Murray, there were so many players at the time, and Wawrinka, who could all, throw in an upset. And it feels like there just isn't that right now. So I guess that's why it's a bit of a strange one, because it's incredible what he's achieving, but it's also at a time when he's the only one really achieving things right now, apart from Alcaraz, who's sidelined.
I mean, we could even see a year where, I know Rafa won the French, a couple of years where he had very minimal games dropped. It could even be something like going down in those sort of history books with like domination.
Least time spent on court.
Could you see him winning all the Masters tournaments this season?
Oh, that could happen. He's won the first 5 of the year.
I think fitness and scheduling would also be a factor. I think it depends on what happens.
I was reading one of the reasons he's not playing a lead up to Wimbledon is potentially so that he can, be fit for, I believe, for the Rogers Cup in Canada, which I don't think he played last year. We know that it goes kind of back to back.
He's trying to do it then. All
maybe
in the calendar year.
Maybe that.
What would that be called? The calendar Golden Masters.
Got to fit Golden in there somewhere.
Calendar Masters Slam.
I still think it should be called Collector Set Masters Edition, but there's 6 games in a set, so I'm not sure how that one quite works. But I mean, he wasn't the only one who played well in Rome. We did see Casper Ruud put in a good performance.
Yeah. The clay in Rome is most akin to the clay in Roland Garros, isn't it? So do we take from Rome, like Ruud reaching the final, like he would be kind of best of the rest, aside from a sort of Djokovic potentially? Medvedev got to the semis, and we still had, good performances from Landaluce, Hodar, so the young guns, kind of ones to watch still in Roland Garros. Yeah, interesting.
There's some good stories still. I think that's what's important. Yeah. And another story that I was going to mention that I'm sure you've seen is I'm not sure that Zverev is going to be the one to necessarily cause the biggest challenge, is he, at Roland Garros, based on what happened in that Darderi match?
Yeah. So just for listeners who maybe haven't watched or followed it, he lost to Darderi in the round of 16, I think it was. Yeah. Had match points in the second set tiebreak and then lost the third set to Love, and was absolutely not happy with the state of the court afterwards. He said it was the worst tennis court he's ever played on in his whole life, even including kind of futures tournaments, practice courts, etc. So, is there any validity in his statement there, or was he just kind of sour grapes that he'd, thrown away the match after having match points?
Well, he's not in the same conversation, I think, as, Alcaraz and Djokovic in the way that he said that the other week. I think if you're getting bageled by Darderi, it's not necessarily saying that you're cut from the same cloth. In terms of the courts, a lot of people have been critical of the courts. I think, like Medvedev has said, that they're not great here. I think Swiatek has also alluded to the fact that, it is a bit more varied. You do get some bad bounces here, even though a lot of bounces are bad on clay. Rublev has been quite vocal about it. So I think it's more of an uneven clay surface, but at the same time, we do know that it is a Masters. You don't get to be a Masters if your courts are substandard. And at the same time, we know that Zverev, he does like to pretty much slam everything apart from himself after a loss. So I think you've got to take it with a pinch of salt. It's definitely not the worst tennis court he's ever played on. I can also point him to some courts that I've played on that are a lot worse, I'm sure, than the Rome Masters. But I mean, I think he was in his feelings, and I think you can understand why, because you're seeing others excel and you're really not. And I think when you see the next gen you just mentioned starting coming up, and you're being beaten by players that are younger than you and you haven't quite got that slam, obviously, I think it's going to be relatively hard to cope with. And he even lashed out at the tennis channel, didn't he, Joel?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very telling. I think it's very telling, I think, of his temperament at the moment.
Temperament.
There we go. God, I'm really struggling with my words here. Temperament at the moment, and very, very fragile, especially with things like lashing out at Tennis Channel in regards to promotional activities and him not getting the spotlight perhaps he thinks that he deserves. I think it's interesting because another player you mentioned, Kim, Daniil Medvedev. I mean, we've seen these sorts of comments from him in the past on clay courts.
Yeah.
He lost. He got double bageled by Berrettini at the start of the clay season. But to think, now, he got to the semi-finals here. He's not done that well in a long time. Took a set off Jannik Sinner. It just showed that even if I think you might have these grievances about the court or about the conditions, if you apply yourself, you can push the very best. And I think with Zverev, it's like I get that he has had the chances to maybe show himself, but I think he's shown with Medvedev that he's got the ability if he wants to, if he really wants to kind of commit. I think he's shown that he's a player who has got it can be very off one day, but he can also be very on the next day. And I think that could be Zverev, but at the moment he's just very distracted, it feels like.
Are you using Medvedev as a role model in that analogy?
Double
bagel to Berrettini.
I love the fact that he was the one, second set against Sinner, I thought, he was closer to the baseline. He was being very aggressive, trying to force the questions of, to force some questions upon Jannik Sinner. Very hard to do. He still did make quite a few unforced errors, but I liked the way that he was pushing Sinner in a way that we've not really seen.
He took on the challenge.
Took on the challenge, yeah.
And
you can't say that about Zverev. Exactly.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I don't necessarily think that's going to translate to Roland Garros. I probably do have Zverev maybe going a bit further than him. But either way, I think maybe we should all take a lesson. On our worst days, like Medvedev, we might have a much better day around the corner. Is that the silver lining from that one?
Yeah.
It gets better.
I did read. When the year that Medvedev did win Rome, he then lost in the first round of the French Open to Seyboth Wild. So it's very hard to know with what Medvedev you're going to get. But I think will be one of the players who will take a lot of confidence from Rowan in terms of, if I can play my best, it's really up for grabs, I think, depending on how the draw falls. It's really up for grabs for everyone else, I think, when it comes to Roland Garros.
One thing I did find interesting from Rome is that I don't think we've ever had this before, but there was a smoke delay between Hodar and Darderi in their match, end of the first set. And that was, I think, because of Inter Milan having celebrations and they'd set off fireworks and, I don't know, smoke stuff. And that affected the tennis. So I just find that unusual. We know it's normally either a rain delay or a heat delay. I don't know if we've had
a celebration delay, we could call it.
Yeah, for good reasons. It wasn't, something on fire that shouldn't have been. It was, so that was an interesting interruption for that one. But let's continue by looking back on the WTA event in Rome now, where we had Elina Svitolina taking home her third Rome title, beating Coco Gauff this time in 3 sets, 6-4, 6-7, 6-2. Neither of you predicted this. Chris did have Svitolina in the final, so well done, Chris. And you both got, I think,
and
2
Gauff
of the
in the final.
Excuse
me, please. Gauff.
Oh, and you had Gauff in the final.
Thank you.
Sorry. Yes,
Goodness.
You had the correct final.
He's very team
just the wrong
this
winner.
week, isn't she? Yeah.
Sorry. But yeah, it's lovely to see Svitolina having such a great week. I mean, she beat like several top players to get there. She beat Rybakina. She beat Hailey Baptiste earlier on in the tournament. Obviously, Coco Gauff. Swiatek as well. So just having a fantastic run of form, picking up her 20th WTA title. Could she, is she peaking right at the best time going into Roland Garros? She's never won a slam. Is this maybe her best chance coming into Roland Garros? She's had a great clay season.
God, I wish she could get a slam, because she's had form going into slams, but she's not had form like this, I don't think. I think she's always been a player who you think could have, a semi-final. I think that's been on the cards, but I don't think she's always had a big enough game, maybe for people to think that she can take a title. But the matches that I watched this week, I think her game was more than big enough. I think the heart she shows on court, the way she defended break points was something else. And I think she's more than just a counterpuncher. I think a lot of people think she's very defensive in her style, and then she does try and, to hit a winner, but she's really stepped up. And I think this partnership that she's kind of rekindled with Andrew Nettles, I think it's the perfect partnership for her. I think she's almost Svitolina 2.0 compared to how she was playing when she won those previous Rome titles, because these matches were tough. These were really tough matches in tough conditions, so physical against the world's top players. And she came through 3 back-to-back, which I just think is truly remarkable. It's one of the toughest runs to 1,000 title, I think, of recent years. I think I saw a stat bar Krejcikova where she beat 1, 2, and 3 in Dubai for a title there, I think in a few years ago in 2023 or something like that. But if I could pick anyone to win a slam who I think deserves a slam, I'll put it to you as well who you think. I'm going Svitolina.
She have a Madison Keys moment. Like, we kind of feel like she deserves one. She's been such a solid top player consistently over many, many years. Obviously took some time out to have her first child, but she's come back because she's playing better than ever. I mean, what is it that she's specifically done with her game to kind of elevate herself so that she is beating, former world number ones and Grand Slam champions en route to picking up like this title? Joel?
Well, I think as Chris said, I think she's added more aggression to her game. I think she can play a bit flatter. She's able to deal with, these really heavy hitters. And I think she's able to kind of combine that aggression with her defense. And again, over in Rome, she's just such a great mover across the court. She always, I think, makes you play one more ball, and she's great at turning defense into attack. So I think that combination could help unlock her first ever Grand Slam final. I personally would still put other players in front of her. I'd actually maybe still put Coco Gauff in front of her, Iga Swiatek in front of her as well as probably as well as Sabalenka and Rybakina. I personally have those as a group of four just because of
Wait, excuse me, Joel. We're doing a section on this in the second half.
So
it's the power rankings.
Okay.
They're coming up. I was going to say,
my bad.
But to keep you
I
on
think
track,
I know what Joel means. That like if this was
but their pedigree at Grand Slams, I think
in the Grand Slam
still gives for me her.
Well, they've done it, haven't they? Of course they have. Yeah. But what I mean more is anyone who thinks more deserving of a slam who hasn't got one at the moment. I mean, Pegula springs to mind. She's made it quite deep a few times, but the longevity of Svitolina in the story, I feel like she really does. Also, she deserves one for the Monfils family name, I think, as well, even though it would say Svitolina on the trophy.
Especially in France.
Yes.
Getting it in France, yeah.
I'm predicting it now. It needs to happen. I'm going to will it to happen in Roland Garros.
Yeah. Well, I will say the draw that she has had, it's almost like you could argue this is a Grand Slam. It's 2 weeks, it's best of 3, and she's taken out in theory, she's taken out some of the other favourites. So it's all about, can she replicate it in Paris, I think.
Yeah, semi-final at AO as well this year. That was a big result for her.
She's beaten Coco Gauff 3 times this year. But I do feel that if this was the women's final, in a couple of weekends' time, on court Philippe Chatrier, whether it would be because it's the Grand Slam, Coco would have won this meeting, because that first set was
Coco was up, she had good chances.
Up and down, so
she did.
It could have, it could in theory gone either way. I'm not trying to take anything away from Svitolina. I do think Grand Slams can be a different beast, and that's maybe why we haven't seen her get to a final before. However, Svitolina has a very impressive record at WTA clay court finals. She's won her first 8 WTA finals on clay, she's only the second player to have done that. Do you know who the first player was to have won their first 8 finals on clay from the women's side?
Is it, Sanchez Vicario, something like that? Do we think?
I've got no idea.
No, well,
Iga?
I would have thought it might have been, but it's Anna Smashnova, which it almost sounds like a made up name, like a tennis player with Smashnova.
It's giving Katie Volley-nets, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's giving typo.
But I have Googled her, and she is an Israeli player who has won 12 WTA titles and reached a career high ranking of 15 in 2003.
She was handy. She was handy.
Clay court.
Yes,
yeah.
She was pretty good at, I think maybe she used to represent, I don't remember her representing Israel. Maybe she was representing sort of Belarus, I think. Maybe that's where she was originally from.
Belarus, I think she switched, yeah.
There we go. That rings more bells. But
before my time slightly.
Who would have thought she'd get a mention on the podcast?
I know. So looking back at Rome, we've kind of covered Svitolina, Coco Gauff, but Swiatek, she had a slightly better week than she has. Got wins over Pegula and Osaka, and then ultimately lost to Svitolina. So, I mean, how do you feel her final week before Roland Garros went? Some promising signs compared to, a few weeks back?
For sure.
Trish, see you nodding along there?
Yeah, I mean, I was watching her, and I mean, again, not taking, well, actually, it's credit to Svitolina because Swiatek was really, really good in that match, especially sort of the first set. That was peak Swiatek in my mind against her in the semi-finals. And all that happened really was that Svitolina clung in there, and Iga went a little bit walkabout from a concentration perspective, started to miss more than she made, and it gradually sort of crept away from her a little bit. So I guess that's one thing that I think is particularly interesting, is that she has the ability. She's so good, but it doesn't necessarily stay for 3 sets at the moment. I think if she wins, she's winning in straight sets, looking very convincing, like she did against Pegula, Osaka. She looked imperious in those matches. So I think it's going to be important for her that she does get these matches done. She doesn't let people think they've got a chance against her, because that was why she was so good when she was dominating, was because she was just bageling and breadsticking everyone. No one even entertained the thought that they were going to beat her or come back. And I think now there's always that chance that you might. So positive signs. I think the coaching partnership's going pretty well. I think she'll be quite happy with this lead in, but maybe she'll think, oh, if only I could have kept that level up, I probably would have beaten Svitolina in that semi-final. But I mean, tennis isn't just 1.5 sets, Kim. It's 3.
No, maybe we will be getting some strawberries and pasta at some point if she can continue.
Would it be like
improving.
a strawberry? Would we have strawberry baguette
Strawberries
or something?
and what's a French carb?
A strawberry croissant. We could do that. That's quite nice,
strawberry
actually.
croissant. I think that would work. Yeah, let's suggest that. If you're in the press room with her, maybe
offer her one.
That.
Okay, yes. Wish me
Don't
luck.
confuse her like you did last year. There was
yes.
a moment last year where she was stumped by. I think
I asked her about what's her process for unpacking a match and analyzing it afterwards, and she was like, "I've got nothing to tell you," and I was like, "Great, thanks for that." So I'll try and do better.
Let's do basic. What are you watching on telly at the moment? Yeah.
What have you eaten that's nice in Paris?
Yeah. Well, let's take a quick break now, but do join us in the second half where we'll be discussing Emma Raducanu appointing her US Open winning coach Andrew Richardson on a permanent basis. We'll also be unveiling our clay court power rankings as we head into Roland Garros, and we'll be taking a look at the final round of events before the French Open gets underway, including Hamburg, Strasbourg, and Geneva. So do not go anywhere. Welcome back to the Tennis Weekly podcast. Let's kick off the second half, as always, with a game. Joel, you've got one for us, and I think myself and Chris are competing against each other.
Yes.
We're not teaming up. So
yes,
all
that
guns
is correct.
Ready
back
to
into
try and get the win.
Yeah, back into the melting
been
pot.
All
Kim,
very friendly
seats.
Whilst you've been gone, Kim. It's
Up
just been
now,
me against myself. Yes,
I was tempted to make this a sort of joint effort, but I was actually like, I think there's enough answers here that I think it'd be good to get you to face off against each other. And the subject I have for you is Jannik Sinner related, because I would like you to name Jannik Sinner's opponents in the finals of his 10 Masters 1000 titles. So any of his Masters final wins, I would like you to name me the finalist he has come up against.
Right. Okay.
And we are starting. This is from 2023 up until 2026.
I can't think back to like the early ones. That's going to be a bit of a
There's
stab
10
at this one. Chris,
Masters
I think you might win
in total. So
that is correct. 2023 to 2026, and there are 10 different finalists.
To be honest, this is quite hard, isn't it, Kim?
We're
going to have to do the ones from this year. Kim, I'll let you go first.
I'll say Casper Ruud then, thanks.
That is correct. Very good. Casper Ruud in Rome this year. So 1-0 to Kim.
I am going to say Alexander Zverev.
That is correct. Very good. Madrid 2026. So that is one apiece. There are, of course, special bonus points if you can tell me the event it was at. Or if you're feeling it's too hard, I can give you the events.
We will survive.
Okay,
we'll
survive.
will.
Okay,
We'll do
Kim.
our best.
Persevere.
Medvedev. I think that was Indian Wells this year, and possibly another one over the last few years.
Indian Wells is correct. Very good. Medvedev on the list. So that is 2-1. It was Indian Wells 2026. Very good.
I'm also going quite recent. I think in Paris, he beat Felix last year.
Correct. Very good. Paris Masters, Felix Auger-Aliassime 2025. So that is 2-2. Get to the halfway mark.
I mean, I'm assuming he's beaten Alcaraz in one.
That is correct. Very good. Monte Carlo.
Yeah. Of course.
Year.
Yeah.
Just happened. We should have got that first.
Yeah.
So, that is a correct answer. So 3-2 to Kim.
I'm not feeling particularly brave, so I'm just going to do more from this year. I think he beat one of Kim's favorites in Miami. I think he beat. Well, I hope it's a favorite.
My mind's gone blank. Can't be that much of a favorite. Oh yeah.
You're quite partial to him.
Yeah. Do you like a good Czech player?
A correct
Hopefully
answer.
You're in checkmate now, Kim.
Oh, I think I am. I think you've checkmated me because I can't think now.
Very good. Yeah, Lehechka, Miami. So that is 3 apiece. So Kim, even if you get a wrong answer, Chris does need to give me one for the win.
Listeners who haven't listened before, Kim will get one wrong and then get one right after she's got one wrong.
I just have a feeling about Grigor Dimitrov, so I'm going to say him, which is probably wrong.
Kim. That's a correct answer. Very good. 2024 Miami Open.
I was thinking it was like Cincinnati or
that
something,
was the tip. That was at the tip of your tongue, but very good. So Kim does take the lead. Wow. Is that 3-2, 4-3? I think it's 4-3.
I'm definitely down 1
to Kim. There are 3 answers left on the table.
I have 2 that I think I'm tossing up between, but I am gonna go for Novak Djokovic because no one has said him yet.
I was thinking about it.
He doesn't lose very often. Djokovic. That's the question, isn't it? But I feel like maybe somewhere in Asia.
That is correct. Very good. Shanghai 2024. So that is 4 apiece. Oh, it's getting tight.
We've got 8.
It could even end.
Could do a full sweep,
maybe. Even end in a draw,
which might be unprecedented. A golden slam.
A golden par for the course.
Golden par for the course.
Yes.
I think I might let us down with this one.
It's back to you.
I'm debating between 2 players of the same nationality. Shelton. I'm just gonna say him. No.
Ben Shelton?
Yeah.
That's incorrect, Kim.
Oh.
But because you are drawing, Chris does have to give me a correct answer to win this week's Path for the Courts.
This is not easy. Top players who've made it to a Masters final.
There are 2 answers left on the board. It is tricky. And I'm actually not sure what's going to happen if you give me a wrong answer and we keep going.
We might have to do it together. I actually have no clue whatsoever. I know he played. I think he lost to him though, but I'm going to say Hurkacz in Miami.
Oh yeah, that was.
But it was 2020. It was too long ago, so it wouldn't count.
Yeah.
But I just don't want to do a really wrong answer. So I'm just
2022 that one.
Hurkacz is a wrong answer as well. I'll give you one more round perhaps, but I'll give you the events.
I'm sure that'd be very helpful.
Yes. So the events are 2023 Toronto and 2024 Cincinnati.
Sorry, in 2024 Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
Taylor Fritz. He was the other one I was debating about, but
that's incorrect as well, Kim. It's not Taylor Fritz. Chris, I'm going to give you one more chance, and then I'm going to call it.
So I need
could be a draw.
A top player who isn't an obvious choice, and I'm not allowed a clue because Kim didn't get one. It's really hard to know. I guess I'm going to say Rublev, maybe in somewhere.
Rublev. It's an incorrect answer as well. It's going to end in a draw.
Do we both win?
Yeah, I think we're going to end on a draw.
Well done.
On a draw. I will say though, I'll get to it in a sec. But yeah, the correct answer you could give me: Ruud, Zverev, Alcaraz, Lehechka, Medvedev, Auger-Aliassime, Djokovic, Dimitrov. So I told you 2023 Toronto and 2024 Cincinnati. I will actually say Kim was probably closest.
That's not how this works, Joel.
Is it TFO? Is it the other American?
It was TFO. Oh. It was an American.
He was homing in on an American. She was going to get it.
I thought you were going to get it. It was Cincinnati 2024 TFO and 2023 Toronto. Alex de Minaur.
Really? I don't remember that happening.
So there you go.
Maybe it didn't. We just all dreamt it.
We'll just believe Joel.
Much, Joel. Yes. Listeners, let us know how you did. Did you manage to get all of them? Or were you sort of on a par with us? But yeah, thanks, Joel, for popping that together. We won't be having, I suppose, our quiz segments during Roland Garros. So it'll be a few weeks till the next one. So very much look forward to those returning. But we're also not having a mailbag for a few weeks, and we don't have one this week. We are instead going to be doing our clay power rankings. We are unveiling our own rankings because the rankings at the moment don't really tell the full story of form going into Paris. So we thought it was a good time to give our own view on those rankings.
When you say we, this does feel
happened.
like a Joel initiative. Is that true?
We can blame him if they're completely wrong.
I love a countdown. I love a countdown.
You love a segment like this.
Yes.
Yeah. So but we've done it based on the clay form, haven't we?
Yeah, we've done it based on the clay form. We've got a top 5.
Is it this year? I think we've done it
of this season. Yes. Yeah. On clay form this season.
Please don't come for us.
Okay, so should we do the men first? We got like just top 5. I don't think we're doing more than 5. Probably. Yeah.
Should do ascending order from 5.
Ooh.
Yes. Okay. So I feel like I'm announcing Eurovision results or something, but number 5. Who do we have in at number 5 on our men's clay power ranking?
Who did the jury vote for?
Yeah. How many dues poires are you giving? Who are you giving them to?
I'm going to announce this one. Rafael Hodar
nice.
Is at number 5.
As I call him, Jordar.
Jordar, yeah, very good clay season. I think he's taken over from Fonseca as a teenager. So yeah, Hodar is at number 5.
Give him a Laureus Award now.
He should be nominated. He's gone higher than,
Number 4, Chris. Here we got
a certain Frenchman who returned to the tour, Arthur Fils. We put him at number 4. He's had a great run in some tournaments, won Barcelona. I think when you get to this sort of level, you have to have either done very well at some tournaments or won them.
Yes, and a nice dunk in the swimming pool there as well. Okay, number 3, Joel. Who have you got?
I think this is going to be quite controversial, but I've got Alexander Zverev, number 3 in the clay rankings. We all know his form against Sinner, but he's still a very good clay competitor on his day. So we're going to put Zverev at number 3.
I think it's probably fair when you think about it. Yeah. Semi-final Monte Carlo, played a lot on the clay this year.
Yeah. Okay, number 2, Chris.
Well, I'm thrilled to announce that we believe in the clay power rankings, the second best player in the world. Obviously excluding Carlos Alcaraz because he actually had a better season on clay than pretty much everyone else in the top 5.
Very true.
Would be Casper Ruud.
Yeah. Fair. I think that's completely fair. Okay, and I'm really struggling to think who we've got for number 1. I mean, I really listeners,
very tough.
Let us know, who do you think it
yeah,
is?
we got this right.
Oh, I'm not too sure. Could it be an Italian who?
It is, Kim. It is Jannik Sinner.
Yeah.
Who won? Sinner. Not Darderi. Yeah, not Berrettini for his performance against Medvedev. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. I mean, that performance though against that Berrettini Medvedev, that
should
is
put
quite
him at number
memorable.
6. Special mention. Anyone else get a special mention from us on our power list?
I think Alcaraz special mention. Obviously, sadly, his clay season was shut down early. He went off to roll
Alcaraz
around.
Special mention
instead.
for his clay rolling in the clay power ranking.
Yeah. Any other special mentions?
I mean, it was just nice to see Rublev in a quarterfinal at a Masters. Admittedly losing in a quarterfinal, which is back to kind of where he was, but it's nice to see him, there and playing Sinner on the big stage. That's where he belongs in my book.
Yeah. Okay, let's apply the same logic to the women's.
God, this is going to be even more controversial.
Really tough. This is tough.
Clay power rankings. Okay. Might need to explain perhaps a bit more for some of these. It's quite hard, isn't it? Number 5, Joel, did you devise this one or did Chris? Who's number 5?
Well, number 5 is Anastasia Potapova. She has had very good clay tournament. Obviously got to the semis in Madrid. Followed that up pretty well in Italy, losing to Pegula in the round of 16. So I think Potapova's had quite a good clay season. Definitely way above her ranking. So one to watch, I think, in Paris. Yeah,
be looking out for the draw in a few days and seeing where, the likes of Potapova are potential surprises. Okay, number 4, Chris.
Well, I mean, number 4, slightly less controversial. I'm quite pleased I got this one. Rybakina. She did start the clay swing, driving off with another Porsche. So I think that combined with some decent showings at some of the other events, I think that probably does get her a decent spot on this list.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. Number 3, Joel.
Coco Gauff. I think she's still finding her A game, but her just sort of belief and will to win and winning ugly puts her on this list, I think. And I think if she can find her game in Paris, she's going to be very, very difficult to stop, I think.
Will she be able to defend her title? That would be interesting to see. Okay, number 2, Chris.
Well, she may not have played for a little while. And actually thinking about it now, maybe we should have given her the top spot, but recency bias seems to be strong with me. I've gone for her, well, a Ukrainian, shouldn't give away too much. Marta Kostyuk, I've put her at this. We have because not only did she win Madrid, she's also still on that winning streak from winning in Rouen as well. So she had a fantastic clay swing, but she didn't play in Rome, even though she did go undefeated. I felt like we probably didn't have the wins over the top players that we felt we could give her the top spot, if that seems fair.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So number 1, I think our listeners may be able to guess who we've gone for. Spoken quite at length about her today. And Chris, I'll let you do the honours because I know you're quite partial.
Well, I mean, I've already given it away, but it's not Sabalenka. It's Svitolina. Yeah. So she's at the top of the list. I think she had a semi-final in Stuttgart, and then she kind of built upon that. And I think the momentum of the season, I think she's really got in a good direction. Having said that, she did lose first round to, I think, Bondar, was it?
Straight sets.
Yeah,
in Madrid.
Again, this is not scientific. This is our Tennis Weekly power vibe play rankings.
No Sabalenka, no Swiatek either in our top 5.
I think Swiatek should get a special mention though.
Yes,
perhaps especially
she's on the up
week. Yeah, and you could never count her out of the French. She's won it so many times. So, but yeah, Ukrainian top 2 for our clay power rankings. So, listeners, let us know what you think. Do you think
have we lost the plot?
Justification for all of
Where is Mira and Drever?
Oh God, justice for Mira. That's so true.
Oh gosh, special mention for Mira. But yeah, I think it's really tricky because the rankings, if you just look at them, they don't tell the full picture, do they? You've got to think recent form. So we'll be considering that when we make our predictions for our preview episode later in the week. So look out for that. We do have some news though as well, as we're going to recap what's coming up this week as well. But latest news, I suppose, off the coaching kind of roulette, focusing on Emma Raducanu. There's been quite a lot of coaching updates over the last few years, but this one hopefully might be the last one for a while because she's reunited with the coach that she won the US Open with back in 2021. That's Andrew Richardson. When she won the US Open, it was like a temporary arrangement, but this time around they've agreed to a full-time partnership. So on paper this sounds like a really good move, but do you think that it will live up to the expectation, her reuniting with that coach? Joel?
I think this is something so many people have been asking for a long time. Raducanu's been on the coaching carousel, many coaches, and I think she's not been able to. It's not surprising, I think, that she's not really got a brand of tennis that she can identify with. I think she's quite lost, perhaps, at the moment, given the number of coaches that she's had that have tried to imprint on her game. The stop-start nature with her and her injuries. So I think it's nice that she's gone back to someone who is familiar to her. They've had good times together, and although I think their separation to begin with was very sudden, I'm sort of happy that actually didn't end any sort of like link after that. There were talks, she was at her I think Ferrer's academy where he was based, and it sounds like it's kind of continued on from there. So yeah, I'm happy it's happened, and it looks like she's kind of going for perhaps kind of familiar faces to kind of get her back to kind of the tennis that she wants to that she feels will be a success for her on the tour.
I just think, why is it taking so long? And I think it will be tough to rekindle that magic 5 years on. I think if you spoke to Andrew Richardson at the time when he was standing next to Emma Raducanu holding the trophy at the 2021 US Open, he wouldn't think the next time he'd be coaching her at a Grand Slam would be the 2026 French Open. I think that seems truly insane when you think about it, because it works so well. And I think probably the last 5 years, if Raducanu looks back, she'll think, I actually have completely missed a trick. It's not 5 years that I put to good use building the career that necessarily I wanted to. I've got to a certain point. I've got back to a certain point now, or actually a point which never has been, where she's never had to build up her ranking because she won so early. And now she's looking at the things that could have sort of gave her that big success. So it's a logical decision at a very illogical time, given how successful they were when they were first together. And I just hope that test that they had together at the Ferrer Academy showed they still have the chemistry, they still have a great dynamic, and that's why it's become, a more permanent thing, because it felt like it should have been permanent from the off. And you have to question, what on earth has gone on. But thankfully it's not too late. She hasn't missed the boat there. And when you think about, the fact that she is still so young, it doesn't mean that in any way this can't lead to something more successful. But I mean, at the same time, Kim, with coaches, do you think this will last longer, even though it's on a more full-time basis? Or if you think that the results don't come, he might get sacked off again quite quickly?
Yeah, I do think the expectation is that, it's going to return
Another
to that same magic.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't happen, it's going to, everything's going to feel like a disappointment or a failing, because she's not winning a slam like she did before. So I think if they go in with a really clear sort of expectation, like, let's just take things slow, build into it, rather than judge it from like the first month or so, because I just feel that she needs to stick with someone longer term. But if it feels like it's someone that she knows really well, they've known her since she was super young, like she feels comfortable, she can play how she wants to play like she did when she was younger, then that's a really good start. But I just think, patience and persistence will be key.
Does she just run out of coaches?
Is there no coaches left?
I mean, she's done a lot of trials. I did see like a graphic on the BBC website. It was like the coaching lineup, and I mean, it's a lengthy one. So I think that won't deter her from, making decisions, I think, about who she wants to work with. And, I really do just think hallelujah that this has happened. And I think it does speak volumes to what she was saying. As Joel said, she wants to get back to how she played. She did play aggressively. It was free tennis. It was like a signature style for her. And she's kind of been building other things in her game, but not necessarily enough that's going to take her to the level she wants to be at. So fingers crossed. I mean, it's at an interesting time coming into the French Open and then into the grass court season. I think it will be fascinating to see how this unpacks, and it's unpacking already in Strasbourg, which is a wild card, I believe, Kim.
Yeah, she's playing tomorrow against Diane Parry. So I think she's first out on court. So tomorrow
That's actually
morning.
quite a tough first round. She won the Clarence Trophy, I believe Parry did in the last week.
Yeah, so tough opener. Well, yeah, we'll see if she gets through that, it'll be probably Madison Keys. So, but it's good to get maybe even just a match ahead of Roland Garros. But yeah, we do have the Strasbourg event, which is a 500. Mboko is headlining that one. Alexandra was there, Jovic, Torsen. So also last year's semi-finalist Lois Boisson for France. So let's see if she can have some magic this time around as well. But we also have Hamburg for the men. FAA is there, Shelton, TFO, Alex de Minaur, Tommy Paul. So quite a few big names there for the 500 as well. Geneva as well, which is a 250. Taylor Fritz, Cam Norrie, Bublik and Teen, top 4 seeds there. And then last but not least, we've got the 250 out in Rabat for the women, where Janice Tien is top seed, and JBM Boozers Monero is also second seed there. So These are the last few tour events before the big Roland Garros
draw in Rabat, isn't it, Joel? I mean, goodness gracious me.
I know. I was actually just thinking whilst Kim was talking about that, it is interesting with the just going back to Raducanu, we've got two big coaching setup changes for British tennis fans with Draper,
players.
Murray, Richardson, Raducanu. So I think there's going to be inevitable comparisons with how they get on. But yeah, lots of tennis this week to look forward to.
I feel like maybe, Jack Draper can thank Emma Raducanu for taking a little bit of the heat off him with the news, because that's obviously a very high profile booking as well.
I did see Darderi. Sorry, Kim.
No, I was just going to say, I think he'll be hoping that maybe to not get the spotlight so much on him over the grass court season, that she is going to be doing something.
Yeah, Emma, do something, please.
Distract the attention away from Draper.
I did see Darderi is in the draw for Hamburg, so all eyes on his entrances.
He's going to be hugging the kids.
He's going to be any more children,
giving a teddy bear to them, all sorts, I'm sure.
But Jack Pennington-Jones is in a final set in his qualies, so I'm gonna.
It's gonna be a tough night for you, Kim.
After we finish here, yeah.
Is that you telling us to wrap up?
No, we're coming to a natural end.
Have you been watching it during this podcast?
Kim has to watch the Jack Pennington-Jones final set. Well, we are actually going to wrap up there for our latest tour catch-up here at Tennis Weekly HQ. We hope you've enjoyed the ride with us. Remember to subscribe so you don't miss a moment of ATP and WTA action this season. As we come up to the French Open, there will be daily coverage with the Tennis Weekly podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and all your favourite podcasting platforms out there.
And if you love what you're hearing, then be sure to leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube.
And you can stay connected with us on social media. You can follow all of the action from Roland Garros. We'll be posting updates from behind the scenes and from the grounds. And you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, and Threads. The handle for all of those is Tennis Weekly Pod. And we did say the mailbag will not be in action in traditional form. But if you'd like to drop us a question or something during Roland Garros, then please feel free, and we can see if we have time to address it on one of our dailies. And that's tennisweeklypod@gmail.com, or visit our website, tennisweekly.co.uk. And make sure you stay tuned for our competition that we run every Grand Slam collector set. Details will be on Thursday, so keep your eyes peeled on social media for that.
Yes, indeed. We'll be back later this week for our French Open preview show. We think it's going to be on Thursday.
It is on Thursday. I'm at the draw. I've been invited by Ami Mauresmo. It's definitely
Are you going to have
Thursday.
Those, what was it you ate a lot of last time?
Madeleines. I had about,
Madeleines.
I had about 50 Madeleines. And this time it's a cocktail that we're having before. So
all right.
I'll raise a glass to you, Kim.
Well, we'll get the inside scoop, listeners, on the draw show. The draw show from the French Open. We'll be looking at the men's and women's singles draws, as well as making some predictions. And as Chris said, we'll be unveiling our latest collector set competition. But until then, it's goodbye from Kim.
Goodbye.
It's goodbye from Chris.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time on Tennis Weekly.